So in this first table, this is 2 to the 4th power. 2 to the 4th power is 16 because it's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. On the next three, I want what is 2 to the 3rd, 2 to the 2nd, and 2 to the 1st. Can you please fill those in? You can talk to people at your table if you need to. 2 to the 2nd is 4, and 2 to the 1st is just 2. There's one of them. Good. Next table. If you have that wrong, fix it. We already know that 3 to the 4th is 81. I want to know what's 3 to the 3rd, 3 to the 2nd, and 3 to the 1st. Fill those in. What is 3 to the 3rd, please?
27.
Bravo. 3 to the 2nd. 9. And 3 to the 1st? 3. Good job. Okay. Pattern. If you look, please, at these numbers, which I'm going to circle in blue. To go from 16 to 8 to 4 to 2, there's a pattern. What is it? You divide by 2. Okay, go ahead and write that in. Between all of these numbers, to get from 8 to 4, you divide by 2. 4 to 2, divide by 2. Okay? Yes. Hopefully this is not groundbreaking news to you. Look at the one just to the right of that. Again, we want a pattern. Addison, what's the pattern? It's dividing by 3. As the exponent decreases by 1, the table divides by 3. Good. We need to keep that same pattern going on the next two tables. So we can hopefully learn what's true about exponents that have a 0 and exponents that are negative.
Okay.
So we know that 2 to the 3rd is 8. I need to know the rest of these, including 0, -1, and -2. We just talked about how it's dividing by what? 2. It's the same type of thing. So divide by 2 and fill in the pattern for me. I do not want negative numbers. You shouldn't have a negative. And I do not want decimals. I would rather have fractions. Try it. We know no negative numbers. If you follow the pattern, you won't get any negatives. We know these ones. So keep going from there. If you follow the pattern, what is 2 to the 0? What is 2 to the -1? What is 2 to the -2? I'll help you on this one. When you do 2 divided by 2, what do you get? 1. You not get 0. So this is 1. When you do 1 divided by 2, leave it as a fraction, what do you get? 1/2. And then when you do 1/2 divided by 2, you get 1/4. So 2 to the 0 is 1, 2 to the -1 is 1/2, 2 to the -2 is 1/4. You can do, so look at this table. We're going to do the same thing but for 3s. You already know the first 3 rows, and we know the pattern. We know the pattern divides by 3. You were given 3 to the 3rd. I need the other ones. What's 3 to the 2nd? 3 to the 1st. 3 to the 0. 3 to the -1. 3 to the -2. We already talked about the first 3. And we already talked about the pattern, that it's dividing by 3. So I need you to continue that pattern as the exponents go down. Shouldn't have any negative exponents. Or sorry, shouldn't have any negative numbers. I don't want decimals. 3 divided by 3 is what? 1. 1 divided by 3 is 1/3. 1/3 divided by 3? Nice. Ooh, okay. We need to talk about the two rules today. We're going to start with 0, because 0 is a little bit easier. Remember, you might remember this from Math 8 if you learned it in Math 8. Anything to the 0 power, look at the table. What is anything raised to the 0 power? 1. Yeah. It's equal to 1, the whole thing. So we're going to fill in this first box. Your rule, if I have a base a raised to, then it's equal to 1. Put that in words. Anything raised to 0 is 1. Here are 2 examples. 2 raised to the 0 is 1. You could also have variables raised to the 0 power like x raised to the 0, still 1. It's not an exponent of 1, it's the entire thing. I'm going to highlight it in your table. If you don't see it, we are looking at these bottom 2 rows. Look at it and see if you can figure out what's the rule. The rule for negative exponents, if you have a negative, hold on, sorry, I don't like that. Try it again. If you have a negative exponent, a base with a negative, then you send it to the other side. And then if you have an empty spot, you can put a 1, like Andrew said. When you send it to the other side, it becomes positive. So in words, send to the other side and make it positive. 2 examples. You could have x to negative 2. If you send it to the other side, it becomes 1 over x to the positive 2. Or if you have a negative on the bottom of the fraction, like y to the negative 3, you send that up, and then it becomes positive on the top of the fraction. We do not like negative exponents. We also don't like negative people. But negative exponents, they can't stay here. If you're being negative, you got to get a positive attitude. So we send this exponent and its base to its room. It's got to go to the other side of the house. That was my story for you. So you take this and you send it down. I know it's not a fraction. We're going to make it a fraction. When you send it to the other side of the fraction, like when maybe you're younger, maybe this still happens, I don't know. You go to your room, and after you're in your room for a while, you come out of your room, and you're usually in a better mood. You get a positive attitude. Maybe not, but, you know, that's the point. So you go to the other side. This 2 stays the same, but the exponent, this is new, please be with me, becomes positive. So when you send an exponent and its base to the other side, it becomes positive. The empty spot on the top, you have to fill it with something. You fill it with a 1. So this becomes 1 over 2 to the positive 3. Please make sure you have this. That's it. We're not going to evaluate it because there's no variables here. Anything to the 0 power equals?
0.
No. 1. Literally, it's equal to 1. That's it. So for B, negative 10 to the 0 is 1. Make sure you have it because we're moving on. Next one. C, you have a negative exponent. But before you deal with that, you need to do power to a power. Both 1 and 4 have an exponent of 1. So now we know these rules from last week. You multiply, you distribute that exponent to both of them. It becomes 1 to the negative third over 4 to the negative third. We do not like negative exponents. You can't have that. So you send them to their room. They go to the other side. This one has to go down because it's negative. And this one has to go up Because they both have negative exponents, they both have to move. When you do that, they end up flipping because you sent them to the other side. 4 is on the top. It now has a positive 3 because when it goes to its room, it becomes positive. The 1 is at the bottom, and now it also has a positive 3. We discussed this last week. When you see 1 to a power, we want to go ahead and just say it's equal to 1. So that basically goes away. Your final answer is this. 4 to the 3rd.
Do you not simplify that?
No, I don't want you to evaluate it because there's no variables. D. We see negative exponents. We can't have this. When you have a negative exponent, you have to send it to the other side. Send it to its room. It has to go to the other side of the fraction. So it becomes, on the bottom now, you have 0 to the 7th, the positive 7. It becomes positive when you move it to the other side. Empty spot fills with a 1. It's been a while since we talked about this too. You can't divide by 0 in math. When you divide by 0, what's the special word you say? Undefined. Yeah. So, little review for you. Yeah, that's actually undefined because you can't divide by 0. Last 2. Now we're dealing with variables. The only thing that has to move is bases with a negative exponent. If the base has a positive exponent, it gets to stay. Just like if you have a positive attitude and are not causing problems in my class, then I'm not going to send you to the office. That would not be fair. It's only if you have a negative attitude and you're causing actual problems that you get sent out. So negative exponents, stuff with negative moves. Stuff with positive stays. E. Here we go. X has an exponent of negative 2. Y has an exponent of positive 4. Which one needs to move, the X or the Y? The X. This one goes down. The Y gets to stay. Oh no, you have an empty spot now. You fill it with a 1. X, the negative 2, goes down. It becomes positive 2. Y to the 4th is still there. I'm not going to kick you out of class if you're not causing problems. Y to the 4th gets to stay. Are these the same base? No. So do not add your exponents. That's it. Done. So that is as simple as it can get. One more. Negative exponents move, positive exponents stay. X to the 3rd. Is X to the 3rd causing any problems? No, it's fine. It stays. This one has some issues. It's got to move to the top of the fraction. You send it to the other side because it has a negative exponent. X to the 3rd, still on the top of the fraction. Who else is there? X to the 4th. You can do this, put it over 1. You do not have to. But if you'd like to, then go ahead. Yep, so we have the same base, and they're being multiplied. What do I do with my exponents? Add them. In total, this is X to the 7th. If you want to put it over 1, that's fine for now. But the final answer needs to just be X to the 7th.